You are allowed to return to the light you thought you lost. That's the message arriving from Amaterasu, the shining sun goddess of Japanese Shinto mythology, who steps forward bringing radiance, wholeness, and the remembrance, I am a being of light and love. Hi, welcome to your Timeless Mythos reading. I'm so grateful you're here. Whether you're returning or finding our circle for the first time, please know you are welcome, wanted, and completely safe here with me and my guides. I'm Christina. I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine and an intuitive channel. And today's reading will move through 3 parts. First is the myth itself, the story of the archetype who came forward for you. Next is the deeper healing themes this energy is stirring in your life. And finally, your full card reading, so you can receive guidance on the shifting dynamics. If this video found you, you can trust something in it is meant for you. And because it's a collective reading, take what resonates, go ahead and leave the rest. Someone else needs that part. When something does land for you, like the video to claim that tendril of energy to yourself. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so future Mythos messages tune even more clearly to your frequency. Now let's anchor together into awareness of the present moment and step back into the mythos together. Long before the world knew daylight, long before the rivers knew reflection, long before human beings ever looked up and felt warmth on their skin, there was Amaterasu, the radiant one. She was not simply the sun. She was the consciousness of illumination, the force that makes truth visible, the warmth that makes life possible, the clarity that brings everything into balance. She shone with a brilliance that nourished gods and mortals alike. But every source of light casts a shadow, and Amaterasu's greatest challenge came from her own kin, her storm-wrought brother, Susanoo. Where she brought illumination, he brought disruption. Where she moved with grace, he wrought chaos. Where she created harmony, he invited havoc. Their tension was ancient, the tension between creation and destruction, clarity and confusion, boundary and breach. One day, Susanoo's recklessness crossed a line too deep for her spirit to reconcile. He desecrated her sacred weaving hall, a place where she created the garments of heaven, a space that symbolized peace, creativity, and inner expression. And with that, something inside her broke, not shattered, sealed. For the first time, the radiant sovereign felt the kind of violation that makes the spirit fold inward. A wound not of the body, but of innocence. A collapse not of power, but of safety. So she withdrew into a cave, the deepest, quietest, darkest cave in all the realms. She closed the stone door behind her and hid her light, not in punishment, not in pettiness, but in protection. But every being that depended on her warmth began to wither. The earth cooled, the sky dimmed, the crops failed, and the world mourned. But Amaterasu did not leave because she stopped loving the world. She left because she was overwhelmed, because her spirit needed shelter, because even divine beings need a place to collect themselves when the world becomes too much. Her cave was not weakness, it was sanctuary. The gods gathered to lure her out, trying every rational strategy, pleading, bargaining, reasoning, but nothing could pierce the walls around her spirit. Walls built not of stone, but of grief. Until at last, the goddess of creativity and pleasure, Ame no Uzume, tried something different. She did not reason, she danced. Wild, uproarious, unashamed, ecstatic. She made the gods roar with laughter. She created joy in the darkness. And somewhere deep in her cave, curiosity stirred in Amaterasu's chest. She had not heard laughter in a very long time. So she pushed the stone door open just enough to see, and the gods held up a mirror. For the first time since her withdrawal, she saw her own radiance reflected back to her. Not the radiance of duty or expectation, but the pure light of her being. Her radiance was still there. It had never left. It had only gone inward, waiting to be met with gentleness instead of demand. Seeing herself reflected clearly, she stepped out of the cave. Her light spilled across creation, and life returned. Warmth returned. Hope returned. Her myth is remembered as the return of the sun, but the deeper teaching is this. Your spirit is allowed to retreat when overwhelmed, and allowed to return in its own time. Amaterasu is the moment you remember, I am a being of light and radiant love, even when I have felt the need to hide. For those whose light has been dimmed by overwhelm, Amaterasu arrives when something in you is remembering its radiance after a long season of pulling inward. She speaks to the part of you that withdrew after too much intensity, dimmed your light to stay safe, retreated because the world felt harsh, and protected yourself by going quiet. In Chinese medicine, this is a pattern of Shen retreat, the heart-mind pulling back into the cave behind the ribs, not out of failure, love, but out of wisdom. When life becomes overwhelming, the spirit conserves energy. It rests, shelters, gathers itself. It doesn't extinguish, it consolidates. Amaterasu's disappearance represents this internal healing movement. Her cave is a metaphor for the nervous system's brilliant protective instinct. I can't shine right now. I need space to find myself again. This is not collapse, it's recalibration. The shadow part of Amaterasu's story isn't the darkness that came physically. It was the self-forgetting. It was the belief that because you hid your light, it was truly gone. That because you protected yourself, you diminished your worth. But I want you to hear me clearly. You cannot lose what you are. Your light is not a performance. Your radiance is not a role, and your essence is not conditional. Her medicine is the remembrance that I am a being of light and love, not because you never hurt, not because you never retreat, not because you behave perfectly, but because your spirit is made of something that simply cannot be extinguished. The opportunity here is for gentle shadow work to ask yourself, where have you dimmed to survive? Where did the world ask you to shine before you were ready? Where have you mistaken hiding for disappearing? Where did you lose your trust in being seen? Where have you forgotten the warmth of your own presence? In Taoist cosmology, light returns when the internal flame is tended, not demanded. Radiance comes from nourishment, not forcing, and true illumination arises naturally when the spirit no longer feels threatened. Amaterasu's return teaches that your light returns when your body feels safe. Your radiance expands when you are met with gentleness. Your creativity awakens when joy is reintroduced slowly. Your spirit rises when it is reflected back to you with compassion. And you shine when you are no longer hiding from yourself. Strength here is not pushing yourself into visibility. It's allowing your light to grow again at a pace that honors your nervous system your boundaries, and your truth. You are not broken for needing quiet seasons. You are not diminished for stepping away. You are not lost because you retreated. Your light is waiting for the right moment, not gone. Your warmth is gathering, not fading. Your spirit is remembering itself, and when you step out, when you are ready, the world becomes brighter because of you. So we see here the essence of Amaterasu's message being that your light has never been lost. It was only waiting, because you are a being of light and love, even in seasons of retreat. Your radiance is returning, and you don't have to force your light to shine. You can emerge at your own pace. Your spirit remembers its warmth. You're allowed to be visible again, and your presence transforms the spaces you enter. So as we get into our card reading, we see here the energy underneath this radiant being of light and love is the energy of disguise. And we have here the chameleon energy. This ability and willingness to shift based on the environment that you are in. And so I'm very curious to see how that shows up in this reading. So as we get into our cards, we have the moon in reverse was the only one that came out face up. So the moon card, where it's interesting because we have here the light of the sun and then the moon, which reflects the sun. The moon, energetically speaking, we're looking at that which is somewhat hidden, our intuition, the part of ourselves that maybe knows without knowing how. But in reverse, I want to actually see the cards that are near this. Okay. So we have here the Five of Swords, the Hanged Man, and the Nine of Swords. So as we look at the energy that you've brought into this moment of connecting with Amaterasu, we're seeing here a real stuckness, a real difficulty in connecting with your truest self, with your intuitive self, with your knowing of your own bright identity. Something that ideally would be almost inherent, this self-knowledge and connection to our true essence, yet it's been hidden, and this has caused a tremendous feeling of loss, of difficulty, of a fight that you were losing. You felt like it was a fight you were losing, like you had to wear a disguise. There's where that energy is underneath this reading. You felt you had to wear a disguise, that you couldn't shine the brightness of yourself out there. It didn't feel entirely safe for you. And we see here with Hanged Man, this the Hanged Man energy is very much about seeing from a different perspective, or allowing yourself to submit into a process of refinement and change. So we have this perspective shift being invited, and yet with Nine of Swords still being very stuck in your own fear of what it would mean to come back out. What would it mean for the moon to go through that cycle and become the sun again? This Nine of Swords energy combined with the Hangman, you know, there's a lot of swords here of being stuck in your own thoughts. And in Amaterasu's story, we see there was a violation. There was a destruction of trust and innocence that occurred. And so we're seeing here this connection to the difficulty, the mental struggle with allowing yourself to take off that disguise again, or feeling that you needed to be disguised, that it wasn't actually safe to be out in the world as the wholeness and fullness of who and what you really are. And this maybe, it's like these challenges these battles that you experience, these violations or ruptures in relationship, ruptures in trust, changed your perspective. And not in this case in necessarily a positive way, the same way Amaterasu found herself going from being this being of radiance and joy to retreating into a cave, to needing to go inward. And here we see this perspective that shifted to this fear of the unknown, fear of what might be coming next in this Nine of Swords energy. This is all an internal process. It's not really based so much on what's actually happening, but it's more like when you are stuck continually rehashing the past over and over and over in your own mind and feeling unable to see, again, what is behind the moon, right? What is behind the veil, the truth of your being, that you are a being of light and love. The rest of this has been a disguise that you've been wearing. Now, we had so many cards come out from the Moonology deck. So we have detoxify, be real, push through insecurity, and clear your mind. So this invitation to allow yourself to release this continual mental process that has just been cycling over and over and over and over. Let yourself clear these thoughts from your being. Now, you might say, Christina, how on earth am I supposed to do that? We're going to ask the cards for more clarification, but I also want to share with you a wonderful tool that we use clinically that's called tapping. Now, with using tapping, you can shift yourself through stuck thought processes, stuck feelings, stuck activation, nervous system dysregulation. This is a way of taking what has been deeply unhelpful and shifting it into a rhythm that is actually supportive for you. Shifting it in a way that clears the charge out of your body and allows you to develop new neurological connections to replace these pathways where you've been stuck. And this is just the way the brain works, okay? When we've had massive trauma, and this is the same thing Amaterasu went through when she went into that cave. We've had this huge trauma. We have retreated in order to protect the heart, in order to protect the light of my being. And now there's these thoughts that are just repeating over and over, these feelings that are repeating over and over, because as our brain's job is to protect us. Our brain's job is to keep us alive. And it is going to find the path of least resistance to do so. So what we'll find is that when we have these withdrawal stages, we can get stuck there very easily because the neurons are firing down those well-laid pathways in the brain, because that's the fastest and easiest connection. I'm not going to do that. Remember this thing? The fear and the repetition of this insecurity and this fear is actually a defense mechanism, but it is unhelpful at this point. It's time to clear your mind, to push through those insecurities, to detoxify these neural pathways. And I'm going to see if I can drop a link for you guys in the description box if you'd like access to this tool and the way that I use it clinically to help my patients. So check it out if you want to. I'll see if I can put something up like on MailChimp that can get delivered to you. But here, this opportunity in front of you is to shift this pattern. And there are tools. This isn't just an airy-fairy thing, all right? Nothing that we do here is just for the sake of continuing to talk over and over. I'm here to help you change your life. I'm here to help you use these tools and these stories to understand your own story in a different way, because that's the purpose of mythology. That's the purpose of these spirit energies from the universe showing up in our world in a way that we can conceptualize and create story around. It's not just to imagine, it is to actually change our actual life right now. Change is available to you right now, and you can work from this spirit level in order to shift your entire life and your entire wellness experience. I want you to know that these are not theoretical concepts. These are real things that we work with clinically, okay? You are not stuck. And you don't have to be stuck watching spiritual videos for the rest. I mean, I love them, okay? This is why I'm doing this. Like, I love them too. I watch them all the time too. But this isn't the end. This isn't the only thing on your journey. The point in us being here is to help you to complete this transformation that you're on, to undertake this healing and let the things that have occurred in your life unfold as a part of your spirit curriculum, taking you deeper and deeper into the truest version of yourself in this lifetime. So what I'd like to get is some clarification. This is what has brought us to this moment, and both the energy underneath this disguise you've been wearing, the self-protective disguise, and this invitation. What may not be seen is the need to detoxify, to clear your mind. And what I'm looking for now, Spirit, please, is the energy for moving forward, the energy for transformation. Well, Six of Swords is immediately saying leave that mental battle behind, but we're going to go even further than that. And so, but a big part of this is mental. So I am going to make a point. It is Sunday, so I'm going to try to take my afternoon and get this tool put together for you all in a way that you can just grab it and go. Okay. All right, here we are. And one flew way over there. It was, okay. That order, there we go. All right, so Six of Swords is really, so this is immediately after the Five of Swords and Nine of Swords energy we had. Six of Swords is about leave what you must leave behind, set off, leave this anguish behind you. It is time, and particularly to leave these thought patterns behind you. This way of really beating yourself mentally, of staying in your own worst fears, projecting the worst of your past as being likely to match the best of your future. That's the opposite. That is the opposite of what we want to project. What we want to see is that the best of our past might be the worst of our future. Does that make sense? It can just get better from here. And I know that's hard to believe right now, but it's time to see your actual essence. It's time to see your true reflection. You are a being of light and love, even when you're in seasons of retreat. And you don't have to force yourself to shine, okay? You can emerge at your own pace and use tools that are going to help you. Oh my gosh, we have the Hanged Man again. Oh my gosh, you guys, you can't make this up. And then we have the Three of Wands and the Page of Cups. All right, so Hanged Man in reverse is really saying here, it's not just about creating a new perspective through sort of, what we were saying before. It's like you kind of submitted into that process of emergence. It is time now to bring yourself forward, to consciously create this shift, to consciously use tools on a daily basis to lay new neurological tracks, to allow yourself to shift the functioning of your spirit in protective mode, of your body and heart in protective mode, into something that is going to be significantly more beneficial for you. You don't have to take it too fast. Three of Wands in reverse. Three of Wands is all about that progress toward a new horizon. We've already made a choice and now we're moving forward and progressing. And yet in the reverse, it's like it is time to move forward, but it doesn't have to be a giant movement into the vast ocean yet. It is okay to emerge at your own pace. Because what you are is holy, my love. The light of your being can never be extinguished. And it never has been. No matter how convinced you have been that that was true, it simply wasn't. It was a disguise. It was a disguise to protect yourself. And I am actually having tears coming up in my eyes right now, and so much feeling in my body as I'm saying this to you of how incredibly painful this has been, to feel that you had lost the spark of your own light. And I want you to know it can never be lost. Your brilliance and your light and your holiness has always been there. Your spirit knows this and remembers the truth of your being at the core of you. So the question is, how can we allow this Page of Cups energy in? This allowing again of a little bit of innocence and hope and heart connection to enter in the same way Amaterasu just cracked open that cave door. And then it was the other gods who held up a mirror to reflect the light of her being back to her. She didn't have to say, okay, I'm going to come forth and shine on the world again. It was simply allowing that tiniest threshold, that tiniest sliver of hope and belief and joy back in, just the littlest tendril that allows you to emerge from this dark cave, from this period of retreat. So you can allow just the tiniest bit at your own pace without pushing or forcing or striving way woo way in Taoist thought. Without any unnecessary pushing, forcing, or striving, all is accomplished by letting yourself be in the current and the flow of the universe, of your spirit, of your life. I'm going to get one final card, one final message from spirit, from the universe, from this amazing, kind energy of Amaterasu, the radiant one. And she really is saying, my love, this is you. You are a being of light and love. And you may be scoffing a little bit right now. I remember that feeling. I remember saying, it's easy for you to say, what do you know? I know because I've been in the dark too. Because I've been lost too. Because I was a person that I didn't respect too. That is not who you are. That is the disguise you have been wearing to protect yourself. And it is time to let yourself shine again. So many cards. This is the theme lately. We have the pearl as authenticity. The maiden as in... Oh my God. Amaterasu is here again. Do you see this? I didn't even know she was in this deck. Amaterasu is here again. Oh my goodness. So we have, I have just tears pouring down my face right now. This energy is so beautiful. The pearl of authenticity. A pearl comes, how is a pearl formed? It's actually an irritation. It is a wounding. It is a piece of sand, a wound, around which the most beautiful thing is formed. This authenticity that comes allowing yourself, as we said, to find that thread of innocence again. And Amaterasu, the beauty of your own radiant being when you let yourself see truly. It was in The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry who said, it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. So here is the opportunity to see with your heart your true reflection and having Bridget of the hearth and a devotion to the hearth, to the home within yourself. And of course, heart is the essence of the word hearth. This is coming home to the home within yourself, to the truth of your being, and allowing yourself to bring your devotion to this process, your devotion to showing up and allowing this reflection to spark in you again the remembrance of your truest inner nature. You are not just allowed to be visible again, my love, you are safe to be visible again. Your light has been waiting for you, and so has the world. If you want to receive the deeper energetic transmission from today's archetype, I've channeled a couple of messages for you. They're linked in the description box below. When you're ready, check them out for more support. Thank you so much for being here, love. Thank you for showing up for your own story with courage and an open heart. And until the next time, be gentle with yourself, okay?